This is your host, Laura Winters, the heart-led pathfinder, intuitive energy healer, speech-language pathologist, and owner of Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness, LLC. Welcome to Miracle in Time, a mini-series podcast that brings you the stories of beautiful humans exploring the synchronicities, blessings, and miracles within our perception of time. It illustrates that events are not just happening to us, but for us. Life isn't always rainbows and butterflies, but it is a miracle in time. As a disclaimer, this podcast contains general information about various topics and medical conditions and is for educational purposes and inspiration only. Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness LLC is not responsible or liable for the accuracy of information contained in this podcast. The information contained in this episode is the personal views of the host and guests respectively. This podcast is not meant to replace the advice of your healthcare provider and is not intended to prescribe, prevent, treat, or diagnose disease. You assume all risks when you continue this episode. In our last episode, we talked to Amanda V about her dry eye story and finding doctors. In this episode, you're going to learn about a ton of treatments that she has been through, further than just the dry eye treatments, but how she's working to heal her body. So I hope that you enjoy this miracle in time.
I totally agree. It's like, why not trust our blood and trust whatever 20 ingredients that are on a package at the store? And it's because I think it's because we're sick.
Yeah.
And why couldn't my body handle this? And instead of looking at our bodies as the problem, like look at, okay, was it only the benzyl chromium chloride? Honestly, that was a major driver. That was like somebody driving and putting their foot on the gas 90 miles per hour.
Yeah.
The contact lens use, excessive, not giving myself a break, swimming with them in the pool, knowing that was a bad idea. What else? Having asthma and allergies. I didn't have Sjogren's. I didn't have any rheumatoid problems. I had an elevated ANA. They didn't know why. Looking into if you need a sleep study. I had a sleep study and found out I had severe obstructive sleep apnea. So I found a lot of, through the dry eye disease support group, like try omega-3 supplements, try sea buckthorn oil, make sure you're taking multivitamin. I had a neurologist tell me, make sure you're taking magnesium because that could help with eye pain, eye twitching, light sensitivity. And I think that and the serum drops, I'm not, look, there's sunshine and I'm not even bothered by it. Also, I'm not using, I don't think I have them handy, but there's these magnets inside the glasses that have where I could put a rubber attachment to keep the wind out. And then to have these Wiley X sunglasses, I still need those with the rubber seals. Again, they're not my style, but you know what is my style? Not being bothered by the wind when I go walk and pick up my kids or when I go on a 2-mile walk with my neighbor. But yeah, using all the tools that I really honestly have to pray about, like should I use this? This is, we'll make sure I don't use, but it's Xdemvy and starts with an X. And that is one time I went into the meibomian doctor, and she's like, I see you're having a little bit more trouble with blepharitis. And I'm like, well, that's wild because my eyes have been itching more, and I bet you're right. And
Mm-hmm.
so after I got it, I waited a couple days, and I thought, okay, no guts, no glory. There's no back in here. I'm just gonna go for it because the preservative. I read the insert packet.
Yeah.
I liked what that had to say and how they tested it, and I just felt good about it, and I used it, and my goodness, like it helped so much. It's almost like you wish you could be on it long term, because I'm like, is this killing the Demodex mites? And they're getting out of the orifice or whatever, the gland,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's unclogging the glands. And um, but interestingly enough, in that first week, my other eye started hurting, and the doctor's like, "Well, do you sleep on that eye or sleep on that side? Because the medicine's probably draining. And this is why I think
Mm.
so. It's not an allergy because you don't have bumps on the." So this doctor is so dialed in to like who I am and
Yeah.
what my problem could be. She's like, "I think this is gonna go away in a couple days," and it did. She told me to put like a cold washcloth on it and maybe alternate heat and see what felt better. And normally other doctor I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But no,
Mm-hmm.
she was like this and this and this is why I think that. And I was like, okay, okay.
And I
And
think that is like another perspective or another point is like, you know, when you think about your journey, like you've gone through multiple doctors, right? And I think that there's almost this sense of like, I don't want to be doctor hopping, right? But there's also a lot to say about finding someone who really meshes with you and who understands you as a person and who can look past just these, like this one person that's coming into office just on this day, but thinking about your environment. What do you do every day? Like really building that rapport. And they say, you know, in the speech therapy world, I'm sure in a lot of other worlds, but like rapport is the most important thing. If you do not have rapport with your patient, there's no chance they're ever going to get better. It's just not going to happen. So that is, I think, really important. And you are, you know, you have one great doctor that you're using for this one thing, and you have another doctor that you're using for another thing. And that's okay too. You know, you don't need to find just one person who's going to do it all for you. Be okay and open to trying to find that right person for you and, you know, what they're able to provide, and you guys provide together. You know, like I always say, when you have a doctor, you want them as a member of your team, you know, like you don't want them to be like just giving you all the stuff, whatever, but that you're a team together. You're working this out together.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and the last time I met with her, she's like, okay, where do we go from here? I was like, well, if it's okay with you, I just want to continue what I'm doing until I figure out what's causing my inflammation. And now I'm actually the unhealthiest I've ever been with going through perimenopause and menopause. And I've tried HRT. I'm allergic to progesterone. It makes my eyes feel the most horrible they've ever felt. But again, everyone's different. Some people take the Moxie something, whatever progesterone it was, and they're like, "Oh, that's amazing," or they use progesterone cream, and they're like, "That's my answer," or bioidentical hormones, and like who knows? But for me, it just that's not an answer, and
Mm-hmm.
just like IPL, some people have 11 IPLs and then they feel like they've been cured.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I don't ever want to steer anybody away from trying things. But with the IPL though, I highly recommend people get on serum or PRP before they get the IPL treatment because your eyes are so darn like the corneal specialist said that he could see pitting on my cornea, and then the pitting was gone after using the serum tears.
Mm-hmm.
And then my light sensitivity went away after 3 weeks of being on the serum tears. A couple of months, my starbursts were gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I typically get people inbox me or private message me, like, and it's usually about the starbursts. And that's like the most horrifying, like, you can't drive like that, like, and that, when that went away, that felt like a miracle because it was overnight. It wasn't gradual. I'm sure that the serum tears helped it, a lot of prayer, but I like went out to get a package and I looked over at my neighbor's house light and I was like, oh my gosh, it's not starbursty. And then I was looking at every light I could and then I was looking at the moon and I was like standing out my driveway
Aw.
almost in tears.
Like you say, what a
Uh
miracle.
yeah.
There's that's they say with with healing, like the healing timeline is definitely not linear. Anything could happen at any time, and I mean, what a miracle.
And it was weird because I attribute miracle to, God. And I've seen a lot of unexplained things. I mean, I could keep you here all day with stories of like somebody I was a camp counselor to. She wanted to keep my number afterwards, and it was a Christian camp. And she said, I have cancer. And I said, I'm going to be praying for you. And I remember it was Christmas time. Why am I crying?
Aw.
It was Christmas time. I was um, in my early 20s hanging out at my parents' house, watching nostalgic cartoons and shows. And I was thinking about her. And I had been praying for her. And she called and she goes, I just wanted to let you know that I was at Children's Hospital and I went through I don't know if it was MRI or a CAT scan, but she had to get the contrast dye. It felt really cold going in. And she thought, when I go into that machine, I'm going to come out better. She had that thought in her head. And instead of feeling cold with this dye, she felt it like a warmness. And she felt God was speaking to her. And when she came out of the machine, she didn't feel sick. And they went over her scans because this was brain cancer. And when they went over her scans, she was completely healed.
Aw.
So that's probably the most personal, you know, wild story. I'm not saying my prayers healed her, but I'm not saying they didn't either. Just like I mean, I'm sure there were like numerous people praying for her, and
Yeah.
um, but it's interesting because during COVID, and even before that, I was starting to stray away from my faith because we had moved, and I wasn't part of my church anymore, and we weren't finding a church as a family that everybody gelled on. So I didn't really go as much, and I was like, who needs to like go to church anyways? But then I wasn't reading my Bible and thinking praying every once in a while was cutting it, and then I went to the church and I was like, I just don't always feel like going. And he was like, well, if you don't feel like going, you shouldn't go. Well, that's terrible advice, especially from an Eastern Orthodox priest to say, like, well, if you don't feel like you want to be here, then you shouldn't be here. And I'm thinking, my goodness, that's like a personal trainer saying, oh, just go to Dunkin' Donuts on your way home and um, forget about exercising if you just don't feel like it. So I was looking online for a church and I was kind of like dabbling in some stuff that I thought was, good for healing and like I'll just do feng shui. Maybe there's some bad luck in my house. And not sort of realizing, but not realizing, like putting my trust in objects and the color of them and what they are and moving them around in my house and believing in luck um, for healing and health. I'm putting my faith in like things that are created like by God, like like crystals, whatever, like 5 roof pagoda, and that's going to help with your studies or whatever, and like you have to move it around whenever this falling star hits this number. And I'm like, you know what, would God want us to be this stressed out about stuff? Should I have to have my life revolve around something being a spot? Like at first it kind of, gives you a little bit of good advice, but it's for like design of your house. It's not like you're your God and you're gonna like work with whatever spirits to bring you luck. And I'm kind of embarrassed, but I felt desperate, and it's and then started reading my Bible and listening to podcasts of people that I respect, and I'm like, this isn't in line. I need to trust God, wait on God. And did he do this to me? Absolutely not. If I believe he's a good God, which he is, well, then, you know, who's the other power that people don't like to talk about? The devil, Satan. Is that very real? Yes. Does he study us and know us too, just like our guardian angels? Probably. And so it was a test of my faith. And I felt really dark. And I even had thoughts of, I really know what it's like now to have kids and a family and still think maybe I should end things because I feel so bad. Like, but my faith tells me I can't do that. So I hung on. But I remember going to my husband and saying, I don't know if I can get through this. And then I just kept reaching out. And I saw there was this, I have a picture of it. So again, I come from a Baptist background, so I understand people might not understand like Eastern Orthodox, Greek Orthodox. Um, but there's this traveling icon of the miraculous, mirror streaming Hawaiian Ivoron icon of the Holy Theotokos, which is a lot to say, but we call her Theotokos. It's the Greek word meaning birth giver to God. So everything comes back to God. It's not idolizing Mary, but it is asking for intercession. And I went to this Russian church that was hosting the icon. And icon means window. I believe it means like a window into heaven. It's not like something you know what I'm saying, worship, but something you respect and venerate as the mother of God. So it's streaming myrrh for like, I don't know how long. And it's so much that they have to use cotton swabs to like soak it up. And so I went and I saw it for myself. And when I asked for her intercession, I said, please pray for me and intercede for me for the healing of my soul and body. Well, can I pray to God? Of course you can. But the saints came before us, and they're like brothers and sisters in Christ who usually were martyred or persecuted. So it's like a family picture. Anyways, I don't need to explain, but seeing the icon miraculously stream myrrh, smelling like myrrh, and the way I felt after the next day when it was time to go to church, I felt like I wanted to go to church. I felt like it was easy to get up and go. And I've been going for like a year and a half now. And my daughter was like, let's go, Mom. And she was the first one to like help me get there. I'm like, why is it so hard to get there? And why I'm going into all this is I really feel like I'd be gatekeeping and I wouldn't be sincere if I didn't tell you the real reason behind healing. It's staying close to God, not getting very far away from Him. And the closer you get, the more pure and healing and God can work through you. And it's the devil that brings is with the infirmities and the sicknesses and the doubt. And anyway, so when I finally did get to church, the young pastor, and when you're Orthodox, they can be married, and him and his wife were so great to me. He even stopped in the middle of service and was like, what, he was like, oh, so good to have you. Cause I was in the very back. He was like, what's your name? And asked Juliana her name. And I thought, he doesn't know what that means to me, of like not feeling invisible,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing you're new. And, um, and through Kaiser, I've had counselors, and the most they helped was like try not to catastrophize things. Like, I'm always going to be this way, or this is always going to be this. That was, that was kind of helpful. But there's nothing like talking to someone that you feel like has all the power in the world and who will shepherd you and give you advice to keep you out of trouble and um, give you and I don't know. It's just like a therapy session with him is totally hits differently than like a psychologist trying to give me Cymbalta, which I will say some people get on Cymbalta. That does help them with their dark thoughts. That does help them with the pain. But I read 9 pages of side effects and thought I can't do it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think like, the last time that we talked I think we both were so different. And I have to say that, yeah, I completely agree. I look around sometimes. I don't know that I probably should say this, but I look around sometimes and, I just, the people that are around me worship Jesus so much. And I always question, like, why don't you just go straight to God? The, like just the ultimate source, right? Like the ultimate power. Like all of us are children of God, and so coming back to that, and when you were talking about that story with the myrrh and everything, that seemed like a total rebirth for you. Like that did come to fruition. It did cleanse you of your soul and brought you to where you needed to be and to give you more answers and to bring you into the space where you're not invisible and where you are seen. And like, I mean, that wasn't coincidence, right? That you're like in the service and
no, and
someone stops and says something like, like
not
why
only
would that
that, but
happen?
I told him I was trolling his social media because he was a new priest at that church. And I was like, wow, their social media is like on fire. Like I told him it was like you felt like the church was more alive. It was like in a warehouse at the time. I'm like, I thought the other priest was probably doing a good job. But when he left, I was like, oh, no, I'm seeing a growth here.
Yeah.
I'm seeing him um, a lot more children attending, a lot more life, but there's old people too. I'm like, that's a good sign. Um, and then through the feng shui, they have like different what is it called? The evil eye that you put up to people look at it and they won't be jealous of you. And like when you're really into deep in this stuff, you're like, okay, yeah, maybe that'll bring me luck. And you're like, oh, I wear it and I feel so much better. But this priest was talking about, look, there's a lot of Greek people and around in Grecian, like old times, modern day, the evil eye was a big thing. And he's like, that's part of what the mediums use in divination, and we don't use this, and this is why. And he went into a really in-depth, I'm talking as much as you can for a post essay, very well articulated of why it's not good. And I was like, that's what I need a shepherd, I need a priest leading me that's not afraid to just lay it down and say, hey, I know you're really attached to these cultural,
Mm-hmm.
sentimental, at least, using them for at worst, whatever, everything in between. This isn't good. This is not what we're putting our trust in.
Yeah.
The created things of man. But I threw that thing so far in the trash. Like, I was like, okay, what else? What else was I doing feng shui wise? I'm like, it was important to get that out because that is like an idol and opening a door to evil. And it's like I'm partnershipping with something other than God. That's all I needed to know. And It's really wild how for a while I'm like, oh yeah, things are going really good. It must be because I have this placed here, and now my social life is better. Now my eyes feel better. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. It was COVID. Who
I
knows?
know.
I don't. And now I feel like I thought I was like spiritually in tune then, and I'm like, no, no. So, anyways, after the myrrh, a lot of I I went on Instagram and I learned all about these herbal supplements. And it was very important to me to stay away from any medication that would dry out my eyes. So I was on Children's Allegra for allergies. And then this lady named Melly Sanford, she talks a lot. She's going to school for herbs. I don't know her personally, but she plugs this company, Blessed Botanicals, a lot.
Okay.
And she was saying how black seed oil helps with inflammation, how it helps with asthma, it can help with allergies. Does it taste horrible? Out of every one of the things I try, absolutely. But this one woman on a video put it under 5 mLs underneath her tongue and then chugged it water or put honey in the water. There's ways to not taste this because it is like transmission fluid. And I may know what that tastes like because when I was little, I think I even tasted gasoline. So yeah, completely. But are my eyes dry? No. Are my allergies better? Yes. Have I had any problems with my asthma? No. Also,
Nice.
pill fatigue is real. So moringa is a nice multivitamin. And this is stuff that I would have never touched, but the founders of this, they were struggling with Lyme disease and lupus, and they're completely healed. They're Christian company. Another company I like is Rogers Hood Apothecary. They talk about parasites and mold cleansing, stuff I never even considered. So, like being on, well, thank you, because like I went on Instagram just in case anybody through the other podcasts, needed to reach out to me. Um, I thought, okay, I'll go on there and reluctantly because I was like, I don't need another social media account, but it was actually so wonderful because the For You page would pop up with stuff I needed to know about. And of course, you have to be careful of companies online. And if they're willing to, like Rogers Hood Apothecary was like, this is where our facility is. It's in Arkansas, and this is the room we process stuff in. And I mean, I've been with this company before they exploded and got big, and a lot of people know who they are. And then what really got me with Kim Rogers with Rogers Hood Apothecary is she had this one tincture called Sustain that's part of her parasite kit, and the kit works in symphony with each other, so you're not getting Herxheimer reactions like headaches and stuff. There's a activated charcoal binder. So learning about how binders bind up the toxins, how you can even test to see if you have problems before you use it. I just went for it because with the Sustain, she said there's usnea in here, and usnea is Mother Nature's, or I should say God's, doxycycline. I'm like, what? There's a natural version to doxycycline? Turns out there's a natural version to a lot. There's a natural version to
Yes.
like Tylenol and Advil, which I have here called Blessed Botanicals Got Pain.
Mm.
Um, I, I wish I could give you a discount code. They usually have discount codes. I'm not trying to sell anything, but maybe I should because I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Um, then there's Lelena's oil. So I'm learning about different oils. And this is a Christian company too. And some people, I don't put it in your eye. I would never put castor oil in your eye unless it's in like restasis or cyclos, like
The
it's,
cyclosporin.
yeah, it's actually in that. Um,
I didn't know that.
but putting it on your eyes, it can actually help with pressure in your eyes. So it helps with glaucoma. It can break up any cysts, like if you have styes or chalazions. It
Mm-hmm.
helps with rosacea, although my skin's not looking great today.
Oh, it looks
There's
really
this
good from my angle.
Thank you. And there's also this company, you can't really see it, but it's called Sam's Light, SAAMS. She's a person who does stuff out of her home. I have the hormone oil roller since I
Mm.
can't take with the OBGYN. That's been helping a lot with hot flashes
Oh, nice.
and my eyes,
Yeah.
believe it or not. This is like the Rogers Hood Apothecary stuff. If you're on Spotify, you'll be able to see all my show and tell. But so yeah, one of the questions you had from me is where do I go from here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to a biological dentist. I had this almost fight with, I would just say it was going to be, my kids were like, oh, mommy, please don't get into a fight with the doctor, look on their face like, be quiet, don't say anything. But they were really like, you really need to have these kids have a fluoride treatment. And I was like, but isn't it a neurotoxin? And she's like, I think it's beneficial. I'm like, how do you think a neurotoxin is beneficial? Please explain that to me. And then my daughter was like, let's get out of here, Mom. But it wasn't the regular dentist that we see, but she was too busy doing something else. Otherwise, she would have just left it alone. I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm like, if they're not in line with my ideas, why am I just always wanting this to be a struggle?
Yeah.
Why do I have to? And before, a couple of years ago, I would have been gaslit. I'm like, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm just. And then it's like, no, when you do a deep dive with different like PubMed studies, what other doctors and nurses are saying, how we're taking it out of water now. Come on now. Was I really right like 10 years ago when I first had my concerns about this? It's just crazy to think. But anyways, the biological dentist, I found that I have TMJ, I have a 10% lip tie, and in a couple weeks we're going to go over my 3D cone beam scan to see um, if there's any cavitations or infections and what else she can tell me. There's this great movie out called Root Cause, that the root cause of all our inflammation could be because of like root canal. Like root canals should be avoided at all costs, and they can tell you how to avoid them. And it's just part of the dead tooth just stays in there. So, like, can you imagine if somebody is doing a surgery and they're like, we'll just leave this dead tissue in there? What's
No.
going to happen? No. So, I highly recommend that movie, like, because he was just getting brain fog and all kinds of, well, I don't want to spoil it, but this guy basically goes through everything to find out and inflammation is also a driver for anything wrong in the body. And the more you can get that down, exercise, diet, herbal remedies, try to um, be a best friend with your pharmacist and be like, what's dry eye causing? I think it's called non-muscinogenic or something.
Okay.
Like, and then the sleep apnea, the doctor's like, I'm like, well, I'm afraid of it, like blowing air into my eyes. And she's like, let's be more of afraid of you not getting enough oxygen to your eyes. And I'm like, good point. So I'm like, but I'm not going to have a CPAP glued to my face. So we'll see if I can do a palate expander, if they do that for adults.
Mm-hmm.
But what she can help me with. And weirdly enough, when I was like, I don't know if I want to go with this particular provider, I said, to be honest with you, my sleep apnea isn't my biggest problem. My dry eye is. And she's like, how did that happen? And I said, my story with the dilation drops. And she goes, that's so weird. I went in for a sty. And I think she really meant chalazion, but I'm not quite certain. And she said, well, let's check your pressures first. Let's put this drop in your eye. And she goes, whoa, I'm here for a sty. Why are you checking my pressures? I had that done not too long ago. Well, let's just do it again. And it was like this blue dye stuff. I don't even know what she's talking about, but I believe her. And they put this blue dyed stuff in her eye. And she said she went blind.
Oh my gosh.
Completely. And then it slowly dissipated, and it went back to being okay. But she's like, that was the most terrified she's ever been in her whole life.
Yeah.
And so I think since we had a similar experience, I'm probably gonna work with her and
Yeah.
just trust that was also one of those really weird scenarios that says, okay, you're in the right place. Because there were so many bad reviews because of the front desk online. I was like, I'm not going to let them, I'm going to find out for myself.
Right.
And she was amazing.
Yeah.
I can deal with the non-great of a welcoming committee they have up front. But yeah, so
Wow.
yeah, just being curious, seeing what else is out there, never giving up.
Yeah. And I think for you, it's like, I love that you truly are authentically you, and you know yourself, and you're not afraid to question things and to be curious about it and to look further and to speak your mind. And I mean, it's truly what we need to be embodying more. All of us need to be doing that, not be afraid of authority, and not think that we are not worthy or beautiful enough to just be who we are.
Yeah. And to realize everybody, is different and unique. And if there are providers listening, just pivot. Even if that's your favorite modality, be like, okay, let's really dive in to see what this person can be comfortable with, and maybe I can baby step her to a place where I think, you know what I mean? Just and like I've had this Meibo, well, I don't know what my name, but the Meibo drops as a backup, and she's like, my doctor is like, have you taken that? Like, I really think it'll help with the inflammation. I'm like, well, it has forever chemicals in it, and I'm just using it as a backup just in case I need it, in case I get, to that point. And she's like, that's okay. She's like, you still have it? I'm like, yeah, still don't know about that one. And that's okay with her.
Yeah. And to be patient too, to when you don't have an answer, to just wait, when you haven't gotten the information, whether that's just knowing or you get a sign from God, like, it's okay to wait for it. There's no reason to just jump on something just because somebody tells you to. With the other things, like you said, I wasn't sure about this, but then I knew, like, I did what I needed to do, and then I knew that this is what I needed to do, even though it's maybe something that I wouldn't normally do,
Yeah. And like I was looking for my Tirvaya, that really helps in the wintertime. But then my body started getting sensitive with that and sneezing a lot. And I'm like thinking, I can't be sensitive to everything. So then that biological dentist said, you really need to see a functional doctor. I guarantee you have a GI map that's going to explain to you all your sensitivities. It could be a H. pylori infection.
Yeah.
Maybe you're eating a food that you're anaphylactic to that you don't know, because sometimes it just takes a while to like cause a problem, like an acute problem. Yeah.
Definitely.
Because I just felt like I went through all the traditional, seeing an allergist, actually finding out I'm allergic to less things. I'm not allergic to ragweed anymore. Well, that's great to know. It's great to know I don't have any rheumatoid arthritis symptoms, but why do when I take cyclosporin, it reduces my temperature and I feel like I'm standing on an ice cold block of ice? Does that happen for um, like 99% of the people that take it? No, a lot of people that take it are like, this is an amazing miracle drug for me. And I'm like, I take it and I feel like I'm in Alaska. I don't know. I don't know what to say. And I tried it 3 different times during 3 different seasons. And, but again, going back to the tools and the tool belt, there are many, and don't give up.
Yes, exactly. Do not give up. So, Amanda, I heard so many miracles along the way, and I'm hoping that our listeners did too. But what advice can you give to help others see the miracles in their own lives?
Just look around. I mean, everyone listening is a miracle. We're on this earth spinning together, and this point in time is a miracle. Um, you know, they're all around. If you want to see a miracle, it's kind of like that thing where if you're looking for, if somebody tells you look for purple cars, you'll start seeing a bunch of purple cars. But like, say maybe you're looking for gray cars and you're looking for white and red and, the same old cars we see all the time. That's what you're going to see all the time. So I'm sure there are just times in your life that you don't realize maybe was a miracle. It may seem so little. One thing that wasn't like, somebody being healed of cancer story is one time I was just thinking, I didn't tell anybody this. I was like, it's great that my mother-in-law is here to help me with my newborn son. This was years ago, but I really miss my mom who did pass from cancer. Well, actually, it was from complications of the chemo, if you really want to get into the weeds of it. But I'm like, why isn't she here? This isn't fair. Like, so I'm going to a Target trip with my mother-in-law at the time. My baby's a couple months old. He's able to face out of the carrier. We're walking into Target, and we just pass. We're in between the beauty and the produce section, and this lady goes, "Can I sing to your baby?" And I was thinking in my head on the way there, why isn't my mom here with me? This isn't fair. So I'm like, okay, this is really weird. My mom would so totally do this. She would go up to a total stranger and be like, I just noticed you're not having a very good day. Well, maybe like give them some money if they need it or just talk with them. And I'm like, this is totally something my mom would do. Come up to sing to a baby. I'm like, she used to sing like Karen Carpenter. She could sing. But as she got sick, her voice would crack. And this lady started singing, and her voice was cracking. And the style of song she picked, I'm like, this is something my mom would have totally liked. And I'm looking around thinking, am I entertaining an angel in disguise? Do other people see her?
Aww.
I wish I was like, I'm not getting my phone out to spoil this moment because I was focusing on the words. And it was basically she was singing a blessing over my son, like, may the sun always be at your back. And then I was like, this song sounds so familiar. And I asked my dad, and he's like, well, that's by I forget the name of it, McCall sister. I don't know. But they were like a singing group out of Miamisburg, Ohio.
Oh, man.
To boot. And somebody my mom would have listened to. And I was just like, and just the words of the song being like blessing the child. I was just like, okay, like even if this isn't my mom, like this is God sending this lady to me If not, it felt like I was like, this is probably the coolest thing that's ever happened to me personally.
How sweet. Oh my God. That's totally, she was like right there. She's like, listen, I'm here. Don't worry.
A full-on serenade,
Mm-hmm.
like by the makeup aisle. I'm like,
At Target.
yeah. And she's like, what a beautiful child. May I sing to your baby? Just like, oh my gosh.
Aw.
I took everything I had not to like break down. I went to another aisle, broke down and cried, wrote down what the words were to the song, tried to look it up. I was just like, it was just wild. And of course, you know, I had a close call in the ocean. I've had a close call driving. Um, and when I start to think about the answered prayers, and there's just so much. Like, even if you believe the earth was created by a big bang, like, come on, like it'd be like a miracle even to have everything we have with the big bang.
Yeah.
And later on, I found out there was a priest that came up with the Big Bang Theory.
Oh, wow.
That
That's
just
really
blows my
interesting.
mind.
Yeah.
Like he's like, if you really want to like a different explanation, like God could have done that if he wanted to, and that even takes a lot of faith to believe in. But anyway, I don't want people to feel triggered or non-inclusive by what I have to say. And there's a lot of church hurt, but I I got over it and I got through it. So
And I think that
it's helping.
there's room for every single one of us, and our struggles and our beliefs and our beauty and our love, and that you can show up for someone and allow them to be who they are, and you can
Yes.
provide your love and your guidance the way that you want to as well. And sometimes that hits for people and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it triggers, and then that's something that hopefully shows us that there's something that we need to heal in ourselves, that we need to grow, and that we need to love more than what we believe that we can.
Yeah, and yeah, just be kind to one another. Kindness and love is just so healing. And even if a doctor is not Christian, just to have a doctor be like, I totally hear you. That must really suck.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what we can do. Um, I don't know how to help you, but I'm going to send you to somebody who does. Or you know, knowing you need somebody to go to bat for you, and you need this medication. And for this doctor that does the MiboFlow, I don't know what her skills are, but this girl has, I call her girl, this very skilled doctor, has skills because she can call Kaiser and get medication covered. And they're like, does she need this? And oh, I see she's been on Restasis. Okay, then we'll cover it. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know it worked like that. I just thought they had like a formulary. And so that's how she got me the Mibo and the Tyrvaya. And I was like, that's just wild to me. When other doctors are like, I can't get this covered. Well, I'm not going to pay $700 or whatever it was when Tyrvaya first came out. And that was from they were having like there's a pharmacy in Ohio that was doing it at a discount, and then they suddenly stopped. And then the dry eye specialist couldn't get it at the discounted rate, and it was confusing. And this doctor was like, let me just try to put it through. She's like, it's done. And here's a sample too. It's
Wow.
just like, don't give up. There are doctors with skills, you know,
Yes.
and you need one. If it's drug coverage, get one with drug coverage skills, like where they can, yeah, it's medically necessary. She
Yeah.
needs this. It's for her eyes. Okay.
I love it. It's so true. I mean, there's so much more than just that tiny little clinical skill sitting in front of you. So Yeah. Yes, that's a really great point too. Well,
Yeah,
Amanda.
yeah. It's so great to know you, and I'm so glad we connected. I've learned so much from you, and I'm glad to see you're doing well. And um, I don't take this lightly, helping others. I uh, I can be reached at vamanda@gmail.com. And then if we want to switch over to like a social media app, we can. Just for professional reasons, I didn't want my last name out there. Yeah. And then if you do go on the dry eye disease support community, try not to get too bogged down by all the horror stories. You can do a search box for directories to dry eye specialists. And just dip in there sparingly. Otherwise, it can get really overwhelming. That'd be the last bit of advice I would give.
Yeah.
And I don't dip in as much because for 3 hours, my eyes feel completely normal, and then it feels a little dry, and then I'll go get some more. And hopefully, by the next time I see you, I'll have more answers for everyone.
Exactly. That sounds so good. Thank you so much, Amanda, for coming on here again and bringing all this wealth of information and the transformation and the things that have transpired since the last time I've seen you. And I knew it then, but I know it now. You're just so beautiful. And like I said before, like I just love who you are and how you show up in the world. And we need more people like you.
And back at you.
Thank you. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Miracle in Time. If you would like to explore a theme or know someone perfect for this podcast, please fill out a form on yourlightllc.com/podcast. If you would like to learn more about my services, you can visit the website at yourlightllc.com. I want you to remember that with all life's ups and downs, you are divinely held and guided throughout your journey. Don't miss out on this miracle in time.